right, well, we are pulling into town. First stop, day number 1. Did not get an early start. It's already noon, but that's all right. This is not a massive lake, but it's like I've wanted to fish for a while. And we're here. We got basically from now until dark to do it. It's super windy out today. That's fine, because like I said, not an enormous lake. And yeah, we got about 10 minutes to go. We kind of got to loop up around the north end of this lake to where we're gonna launch, and then look at the map. I have never even looked at the map of this lake, so we will see what we're dealing with. You rolling?
Yeah.
All right, we're in the water. Day 1. Life is good. Kind of windy, but it's a nice day out. It's like 80 degrees. And I've never actually even looked at a map of this lake. And it's obviously midsummer. It's like middle of July right now, early July. We got water temps of upper 70s, which is pretty much where it is everywhere across walleye country right now. And this generally means one of two things. There's going to be either a good weed bite, and just by looking at this lake, you can see bottom in like 4, 5, maybe 6 feet max. So there's probably a weed edge. It is kind of in those depths of 12, 13-ish, I'm gonna guess. And we're already coming off the weed edge here. We're still in 9, 10, I'm still seeing thick weeds. So there's probably gonna be some kind of weed related bite, especially with how much wind there is today out in the main lake. And there's also a lot of like intricate, deeper water structures in that 20-foot range. So kind of the first thing we're gonna do here is drive out to probably the biggest, deepest portion of the whole lake, which is pretty much out in front of us here. It's a pretty good area, you know, a few thousand acres. And there's a lot of this 50, 60 foot stuff. The first thing we're gonna do is the easiest thing, which is drive around some of this 20, 25 foot stuff and see what we see. Kind of the harder bite to get on is normally this weed related bite. So we'll start on some of these deeper humps, see what we find, and keep you guys updated. But one good tip when you get to a new lake like this is don't try to find the diamond in the rough spot, the real tiny sweet spot. Your safest bet is in the biggest amount of water. So we're gonna go to the biggest deep water spot on the lake, drive around, and see what we see.
Hooked up, first fish of the trip, and the thing that sucks is been out here for maybe 20 minutes and our trolling motor broke. So we're trying to find, in the process of trying to find someone that'll fix it, and then I caught a walleye, or at least I think it is. It feels nice.
Does it?
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, yeah.
On the hyper rattle.
Caught this guy in the hyper rattle, really heavy, it drops down really fast. Snap jigging.
About a 22,
It's
23
nice.
start. What do you think, Shelby?
I'm happy.
You're happy?
Yeah, and the trolling motor doesn't work and we're catching them? Hell yeah.
I know. I'm not as happy because the trolling motor broke literally in the first like 2 minutes of fishing.
Yeah.
I think it's like the turning mechanism, but we're working on that. But in the meantime,
And fishing.
Shelby caught a good walleye.
Let's put this one back. Oh God. There he goes.
Give me some. Fish number 1.
Hell yeah. Tom caught a baby one.
Not quite as good as Shelby's, but for only fishing for a little bit and without even having a trolling motor in a huge wind, you can see how effective that little bait is. Hyper rattle them, come to a new lake, drive around till you see them, drop it in them, catch fish. Too easy. We have no trolling motor, and we caught some fish hyper rattling. And I was like, whoa, thinking of different things we could do just sitting still. And power slip bobbering is definitely one of those things. I believe we got a nice squirrely walleye on, and he is just fighting. He's going nuts right now. But if you do not have a trolling motor, I guess this would be a great video for you. Look at that one, Shelby.
Nice.
Just angry too. Every time I come to Minnesota, I am amazed by how many walleyes there are, and how they always seem to be like everywhere you think a walleye would be, there's pretty much walleyes there, and they always fight hard. And there's another gorgeous thick one, about a 21 incher. That was pretty much the first drop with the power slip bobber, so it's almost so windy. It's been tough to cast those hyper rattles around and sit still long enough. At least with the slip bobber, we can kind of just pitch them out, float away, catch walleyes all afternoon. There we go. There's our third one, and we have not been out here for long at all. We'll let them go. See you later, buddy. So the pattern we were fishing was really super simple overall. For the most part, where we ended up finding the most fish was on a lot of these like weed edge stuff, and basically the super simple way for us to find these spots, or once we kind of figured it out where they were, it was super easy. Every single spot like this on the lake had fish on it, and it was either these shoreline or shallow shelf oriented points that look something like this. And for the most part, where we were catching our fish was like in that 11 foot to like 15 foot today. So you can we could kind of turn our depth highlight to that 11 to 15 foot. So I'll kind of crank the depth highlight to like 13 or 14 and go like a couple of feet either way here. And that's gonna kind of be the range in which we were fishing. And any of these shoreline points that we had, almost always there was fish out in the tip of them, like this right here. You can see how it's kind of real shallow up here, comes out, and that weed edge was at about like 12 or 11, 10 feet of water, kind of depending on which spot you're on. So we'll go ahead and zoom out here and kind of go around to some of the other spots in which we were fishing. And like here's another one right here. Same type of deal. This spot had a lot of fish on it too. Even though maybe we didn't catch a lot of fish on it, there was a lot of fish here. And basically you can see what this is. Big shallow shelf with weeds, came out, and right on the tip there was fish. We'll go show you another one here. We checked maybe only a couple of spots like this that might not actually have had fish on. But for example, let's go right over here. This was definitely where there was more fish than we found anywhere else. And again, what you have here is this big shallow complex here, and then this point that ran off it towards deeper water, and there's fish all over in that zone. So, you know, a lot of times they're honestly a little bit shallower than I probably thought they were. And, you know, a lot of times if you're just not seeing fish deep like you should in the middle of summer, and although it's the middle of summer, we've had heat, we haven't had so much heat that's pushed a lot of that hot water down. So a lot of these fish I think are still up orienting themselves on a lot of weed edges. So, and I know we left a lot of quality fish out there. I think what we caught was kind of just a very small sample of what this lake has to offer. But the whole time we were out there and I was on these fish, I was seeing side imaging shots and sonar shots that look something like this right here. Just a lot of fish on these spots. I definitely want to come back here on day where, number one, I have a trolling motor, number two, it's not an absolute hurricane out there. But, you know, kind of you saw us, the two things we were doing to catching fish was one, slip bobber and a night crawler, and we were rigging up super heavy. We were going 1/8 ounce jig hook and then a 1/4 ounce slider weight. And then the other thing we were doing was we were fishing Acme hyper rattles, and that was working too.
Hooked up. We did not think it's a walleye.
But it is.
Oh, I'll grab the net.
As you can see, it is just brutally awful outside.
Oh, I'm falling everywhere.
Just an enormous wind. It's got to be just sustained like 35 plus today. This lake is not that big. The wheels are falling off on day one, but we did catch another one. There's literally, I probably only been out here for like 3 hours, and I already just got a solid pattern going. I feel like I know exactly where the fish are. Everything is in 12 to 15 feet of, 15, 17, 18 feet of water. and it's any kind of main lake point or main lake hump, some big shallow piece of structure that has a tail that runs off it. There's walleyes everywhere on these kind of spots. And right now we're out on one of these main lake humps. And I guarantee you could like throw a rock 50 yards in any direction and it'll land next to a walleye right now. And we're not catching many up here, but there's a million here. It's just almost impossible to sit on these fish and get them without a trolling motor in this wind. But there's a nice one there. We'll let them go. Another walleye in the hurricane. There we go. Good one. They're not coming easy today, but we are getting a few. Beautiful Minnesota walleye. All right, there we go. Another nice Minnesota walleye. Not a big fish, but man, there is an absolute ton of fish in this lake. Crazy conditions outside. We're gonna let this one go quick, but very cool first little afternoon fishing. We're gonna get out of here a lot earlier than we had anticipated. It's just that with the trolling motor and just this absolutely insane wind, and there's a storm coming in, we're gonna get out of here a little bit early because we're both kind of frustrated of fighting this wind. But there's fish everywhere. Hopefully you guys kind of enjoy the fishing part, but we're gonna go back now. We have a campsite somewhere near here, correct, Shelby?
Yes.
And we're gonna set up, cook some dinner, and enjoy vacation.